Well, I'm just phoning in regards to why the teachers should go back to work, I guess.
Yes.
The reason I say this is because they are a public service, like firemen, nurses. So therefore, you know, they have to give the public the service. So nurses have gone back to work, regardless of not having the correct PPE. They've still had to go back to work, and they've complained, but they've still had to maintain a service.
So you're arguing essentially that two wrongs would make a right in this case?
I guess I am, in a way. I think that...
Yeah. Well, at least you're honest.
I think that what I'm saying...
So you know what you need to do now. You need to explain to the teachers listening why they should trust their safety and the safety of all our children to the same politicians that presided over the carnage in the care homes.
No, I get what you're saying, but we've all taken risks. We're all taking risks.
No, but you need to explain to them why they should trust these politicians.
Because as a public servant, they are the ones that you do trust to tell you what's going on. Because I work in the hospital, and we have what PPE we should wear. So I trust that they're taking care of me by giving me the PPE that they say is necessary to do the work that I do.
Yes, but lots and lots of doctors and nurses aren't getting the PPE that they want. So your happy experience doesn't negate theirs. It's completely independent of theirs. So I am going to labour the point slightly that they are saying we want to go back to work as long as we feel safe. I'm not trusting these people to tell me that I'm safe because they've just presided over carnage in our care homes and, of course, also presided over an appalling lack of PPE for much, but not all, of the NHS. So, really, it's a question of trust. Why should they trust these politicians? Boris Johnson misled the House on Wednesday about the situation in care homes, and now you're saying teachers should believe him when he tells them they'll be okay. I just want to know what you're seeing that they're missing.
Who else should they trust? If you're saying that the country has to get back into some
but that's a recipe for I mean, who else should they trust? So you're not allowed to not trust the Prime Minister.
I can't do it with you.
Well, we've already established that you're arguing two wrongs make a right. So I'm happy to be quiet and let you carry on.
Yeah, I just think that if by them going back to work creates another virus, so to speak, we are ready for that.
Well, it'd be a second spike. I'm sorry to interrupt, but at the moment there's no fear of another virus, is there?
Definitely interrupt me. Well, we don't know because they say it mutates, so therefore something may come back. But we are equipped for that now because we did build in the Excel hospital that could cater for so many people. So that's good. We're ready for that. So sometimes the risk has to be taken, and let's see what can be done. Remember, children are still at school. What data have they got for that? Have we had a lot of deaths because the children that are at school, admittedly in small units, but what is the data for that? We have to take
Well, you need to know that before you can form the opinion that you've already formed.
Then nothing will ever go back to normal. At one stage, we were saying that going on the computer is bad for children. Now, all they do is go on the computer. So at one stage, we say that taking education away from children just for 2 days before a holiday is bad for their education, and now we're taking it away completely.
No, they're still getting taught.
Well, I know
most of them are still. I mean, every teacher that's rung in is still working.
Exactly, people are still working, but in order to get it back to normal, we want normality. Children need to be socialising; they need to be together. I have a daughter.
A pandemic isn't normality, is it? I mean, I do want you to have one more go at just telling them why they should trust these politicians. Because we can't leave it at because they're the only politicians we've got, can we? Because then that's like a carte blanche for them to do what... Go on.
It's going round and round. We're just going round like a hamster in a wheel, because who are we trusting? We trust ourselves. I trust that I live in the world with nicer people that have my interests at heart, more than people that want to do me harm. So if I have voted, remember I have a vote, I voted for these people, and if they've got things wrong, sometimes I don't... It's acceptable in some ways, because we're dealing with something new. So
one more go, and I'm sorry for not being clear enough, but the thing I really want you to do is talk to a teacher who wants to go back to school, is already working, is being demonised in the media, and just simply doesn't trust this government, these politicians, because they've handled it catastrophically so far, why should that teacher trust these politicians today? Just in a couple of sentences, tell them what they're missing.
I can't. All I'm going to say is, whoever you voted...
Go on, please, have a go. Please have a go, because it's the whole point of today's programme.
Had we voted in Labour, would we be getting a better service? Who knows?
And I mean, you know, come on the Rovers, but let's talk about things that are actually vaguely relevant.
I think
Adrienne, what are you going to say to the teacher who doesn't trust these people because of what they've done over the last 2 months?
I said it, James. They have to dig inside of themselves. Who did they vote for? If you voted for something, you must have done your background. You know what they're about. You know what they...
So if you voted for Boris Johnson, you must have known he'd go on holiday at the outbreak of a pandemic.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we got there in the end, Adrienne, and I think we can both agree on that. Oh dear. So 2 wrongs do make a right, and if you voted for Boris Johnson, then frankly you should have known he'd go on holiday at the outbreak of a pandemic and mislead the House of Commons about the state of care homes. The question, of course, is if you knew that he was the kind of person to go on holiday at the beginning of a pandemic and to mislead the House about the carnage in our care homes, then why the hell would you have voted for him?